Ready.
I'm here with Marion Ranchet. Did I pronounce that?
Nice.
Not as good. Did I do it okay?
You did great. You
Okay.
did better than my co-host, Evan Shapira.
You have a publication on Substack, which is Streaming Made Easy, where you talk about uh, the topic we're going to talk about today, which is the state of European media. And you're also the co-host of Media Odyssey podcast with Evan.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Thanks for having me, Abby.
Thanks so much for coming. I warned you, and I'll warn anyone who's watching this. This is not a topic I know much about, but I will do my best to keep the conversation. So start the timer. So why did you choose the topic of the state of European media?
So I started this 4 years ago, and I was coming out of a US company for which I was managing Europe. The company was very US centric, meaning that, whatever was happening in the US, they felt it was happening in Europe. And so I left and I was like, okay, wrong playbook. People need to better understand that region. And so I made it a business to help companies in the video streaming space. Let me say that again. To help companies in the streaming video space to better understand the regions, the key trends, the market dynamics. And the idea is very much that there's no one size fits all, right? So whatever you're doing in the US, you need to tweak your playbook to be successful in the UK, in France, etc. And I think, ultimately that applies to anywhere, but I'm French, based in Amsterdam, and I've had a lot of experience in the region. So I felt I could bridge kind of that gap. And so these last few years, I've been writing about what's happening in this industry, trying to, put a focus and shed lights on what's happening here, because there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the States, but we're doing cool stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things that I start to question is, well, one, I think Americans maybe are finally starting to pay attention to like localization of media. I think I could be wrong, but with European media, um, I mean, language is the obvious, uh, I guess, polarizing consumption. I would imagine,
Well,
or
so
is that not as is European media more connected than one
I,
might
th-
assume?
I think there's two things, right? By what we mean by localization. So the name of my company at the time was the Local Act. It was like, think global, act local. And when I say that you need to localize your playbook, it means a lot of things. Yes, whatever content you're putting out there, the French, want to see it dubbed. We are getting better and, we can watch subtitle, but there's a bit of that. So there's that really language aspect. Then there's the cultural aspect, right? Meaning that not all topics, resonate the same way in, one market to the other, or even this region versus the States, right? For example, the relationship to money were, very discreet about that. So there's a lot of, subtleties, so to say. And then from a business perspective, from how those media companies are run in Europe, for example, you guys in the States, you are bleeding pay TV subscribers, right? People are cutting the cords. People are sick and tired of paying $150 to access content, which was perfect for companies like Roku and others to say, come to us, we're flexible, you can do whatever you want. Uh, in Europe, it's a bit different. In France, for 30 euros, I have mobile, internet, TV, and some TV channels, right? So that needs and that trend is not happening to the same extent. The same with linear. We have a lot of free linear content. And so, yes, there's a decrease, and younger audiences are kind of moving away from linear TV to go on demand, SVOD, social, etc. But again, not to the same pace as you. So my thing is very much to say whatever's happening in your country may not happening somewhere else. And so whatever you're trying to do in this business, you need to better understand what's happening locally to adapt.
Yeah. And so I guess, well, I know you wrote about like France with Amazon Prime and like that being a sort of like to me that doesn't like why would France have a relationship with Amazon Prime that another country would not?
So Prime is a powerful force in Europe, just like it is in the States, right? So I think this opportunity to have for very little money, no fees to get stuff delivered, etc. That playbook works in Europe too.
Mhm.
And so these guys have been, growing, incredibly these last few years, and they're amongst the top three streaming platform in any of the European markets right now. Um, so the only thing I will say is that we have a lot of other opportunities besides Prime. So may that be free television, may that be a local streamer who's offering great content. May that be, again, I'm thinking, a pay TV company like a Sky or a Canal Plus. So it's just like we have similar habits to you, but I think the options, the opportunities are a bit different. We're dabbling with, I would say, more options than perhaps you have at a lower price point.
Yeah, I mean, I
Does
think
that make sense?
yeah, I mean the one of the central issues right now with American media, American films, is like new voices are having a very difficult time emerging. Um,
Mm,
and there are a lot of streaming platforms that are like popping up now. You may probably are aware of them. Like there's Mubi, subscription
yeah.
based, and then there's a whole bunch of uh, like Kinema and Gather and all these ones that are like PVOD. And then you have Letterbox that just started releasing undistributed film. I mean, there's clearly this is only the last few years where all this has happened. So there's clearly like people have realized there's a demand, but nothing's quite.
It wasn't being met, is what you're saying.
I
There
don't.
was nowhere for that to thrive in the
I don't know that
States.
it has yet, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of these
Mm.
have fully succeeded yet. Um, but I feel like everybody knows that that's kind of an issue right now, and people are trying to solve it. Is that as big of an
So,
issue over there?
I mean, so that's fascinating. So I'm French, and we have a very weird system that has its downsides, but the Cannes Film Festival. I think, it is
I've
the
heard of it.
summum of, movie festivals,
Yeah.
etc. If you look at the French movie business, we've been resilient because we've put in place uh, regulation and policies that are actually trying to protect the production of local content, right? So in France, when a movie comes out, it stays up to, let's say, 4 months. It can be in theaters, right? I think you guys do 45 days. So they have an exclusive window of 4 months.
Mm.
Then it goes in transactional, video on demand, right? So you can watch and rent that movie. Then it goes to pay TV. Then it goes to SVOD, et cetera, et cetera. So this windowing system is done in such a way that everyone has its shot at showcasing that particular movie, right?
Mm.
So it's a way of maximizing the windowing of a given title. And anyone who wants to show content like that, they have to produce French content, right? So Netflix, they're showing their movies maybe 15, 17 months after theatrical, which is crazy for Netflix. But those are the
Yeah.
rules of the game in France. And they have to
Yeah.
invest a portion of the money they make in France towards French cinema, French television, etc., etc. And so all of those things, it's not the free market like it is in the US, but it has had the benefit of making sure that the French local creative community could still thrive, right? And so we've seen also a lot of the local version of Mubi on the French market as well. Those are financially supported by the French government to get going. They are also supported by the European Commission to get going, right? The idea being exactly to the point you were making, that level of diversity, having those stories being told on screen, etc. Unfortunately, not going to happen, if no one pays attention. So in Europe as a whole, we've put extra uh, caution to that.
Yeah, I wish America would take note because we are certainly in a crisis right now. But I guess with that model, are you feeling the threat over there of like dwindling theater attendance?
So the numbers this year weren't so good, but post-COVID, one of the markets who, bounced back the best was actually the French market.
Hmm.
And they've seen that it's not just, older generation. They could really claim that younger demos were back in cinemas, etc. I think what happened this year is much more the byproduct of, were there really good big movies? I think that's been kind of, I will say that the quality of what we've seen this past year does indicate that it's not going to be a great year for cinema in France and in other European countries. I think it's pretty much the same for you in the States.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think so. The way it's done right now is that everyone has its shots. Every window is a bit protected, so to say. And so, yeah, I mean,
Is
so far I feel it's a better model than just, corporate America.
I mean I mean that just the fact that you have a way to protect, what Netflix is really doing to theaters, it's a very like obvious trying to change our culture away from it. And they can because there is no rule set for to force that.
Yeah. They're
It
suing the French government, by the way, about this because
really,
they don't want this. Yeah, yeah. Ideally, Netflix would want to do, whatever they want, the way they do it, everywhere else. I think Netflix and Prime are going against the French government on that. They want to be able to release, movies whenever they want. But the thing is, to be successful in the market in Europe, to go back to the localization,
yeah,
you need to have the best of global and local. And if you want to have local content, you kind of have to play by the local rules, right?
right, yeah, yeah. I'm wondering what the basis of their of Netflix, like how would they argue against the government's policies?
I think I think it's gonna be tricky. I don't see how this has been in place for 30 years or plus. So even if Netflix is very, very powerful, yeah, I'm not sure how this will pan out. But my thinking is that what they will be doing is they will make sure that they can release closer to theatrical. But this protective window, we're going to keep that. I don't see that disappearing anytime soon. I think it's been our lifeline, at least in France.
Yeah, I imagine then like streaming for you is a very different concept than it probably is for Americans. Although I think people like the ones I mentioned earlier are trying to resurrect the reputation. But
Yeah,
it can be a dirty word for independent filmmakers at least, because streaming has really like killed a lot of smaller films. Um,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
you don't like, is that tension there at all in Europe?
Yes, of course. I mean, well, it's interesting as so. For example, the Netflix Warner Bros.
Yes.
Mess. I call it a mess. Huh? It was a deal last Friday, and now it's a mess. Um, the biggest concern that I have about this deal is, and like you, I'm sure it's the impact on, theatrical releases, right? Um, on the French market, uh, that temptation of, doing everything straight to streaming, etc. It's there. Disney has done it here and there, etc. But at the same time, everyone can see, right, that those movies do need to have that life at the start. Even the filmmakers want that, right? So I'm very pro windowing. everyone should get its shot. This thing that, the entirety of the experience that we can have with a movie is on a couch. I don't like that. We spoke about that. I was at a concert last week and I spent 150 euros plus travel plus hotel for a 2 hour show. And that's what music has for itself, right? Is that despite the fact that it's the artists are struggling, that the revenues from digital are, going down, there's been a growth, right, on live. It's, I think, for a lot of musicians, this is now where the money is. For filmmakers, if it's not in cinemas, where is it? What can we do to keep still that space? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, when we originally connected, I'd reached out to you about talking about the live experience. Um, you froze for me. Are you still there? Uh, Unfortunately, I don't hear you if you're talking. Hmm. All right. We froze, unfortunately, but the timer is paused and we're back. Still 4.5 minutes.
That
Um,
happens,
it
you
happens.
know.
Well,
We're human.
and across oceans. Uh,
Yes, exactly. And it's Friday. Um, we were talking about, the live component, the, experience component. Don't you think this is something that we're missing? Like, what can we do? So that's me asking you a question this time, but, what can we do to, bring people back to theater, allow them to see, you said you're working on a movie. I mean, that's amazing, and you have a story to tell, and you should get that opportunity, right? I think there's more opportunity than ever, but at the same time, I think that in the mix of all of this, theater need to think about what's gonna happen next. I have
yeah.
concerns, right?
I mean I think in like we don't have those safeguards of like a theatrical release. So I mean the threat is very real.
Yeah.
And you had posted something about like films needing that live experience. And I think when we started talking, I suggested that that could be the topic because it is something I've thought about a lot. I've written about like how I think micro cinema distribution is probably the future in America because people aren't going to theaters, but they will go to a coffee shop or a bar. So if we can at least get a crowd together. I think it might look something like that here.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Like
But I
pop-ups.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'd go there. I would do that. So I have a movie going, membership, right? I'm paying 22 euros a month and I can go see as many movies in theaters here in the Netherlands as I want. And I make a point of doing that, but I would use that or pay on top for, a special screening somewhere where I can meet a community of, fellow movie lovers, etc. So I agree with you. The only thing is, it's going to be very individual in the approach, right? The whole thing about theatrical is that it is a circuit, it's a network.
yeah.
You put it somewhere, and of course, people are working to make it, as widely distributed as possible. But I guess perhaps this is the future of Filmstack, right? So both of us were on Substack. We're part of the film and TV category. You're part of the non-day movement, the
Yep.
Filmstack movement. Perhaps that's what's coming next for you guys. I see you're doing meetups,
Yeah. I mean,
maybe
that's
screenings.
something I've been pushing for. We'll see. Do you know about Moviepass? I don't want to derail
Yes,
this, but
no,
you're
actually,
talking
but
about
this
the.
this failed. This
I
failed,
know, but
no,
that's what I was going to
miserably.
say. The irony of that unlimited passes, we actually had that, uh,
Yeah.
and it failed, which meant that people were actually going to too many movies, which is just very funny to think about in hindsight because now nobody will go.
Was it, possible to go anywhere in any type of theater?
I don't
Any
remember. I don't know
circuit,
the.
any network?
No, I don't believe so. I don't know exactly, but I know that it was just very, very undercharged.
Yeah,
or
I
under.
mean, this one you would love. It's called Cineville. It is for independent movies that are part of the European Union. It's a network. You know, those are places you would love to go in any of those cinemas. Actually, two of my favorite ones are managed by Dutch students in Amsterdam. So those are super cool, cozy places. The experience, you know, not the comfiest seats you can find or the best popcorn, but you feel part of the film community. So
Is that
I think it's a
streaming?
model that works.
Is that
So
considered streaming?
no, no, no. This is really, you know, it's a pass, and just like Moviepass, I can go, I can buy as many tickets as I want. I'll be honest with you, I don't have enough time to, you know, overload on that pass. So I think they're making money on me, so to say. But I'm happy because behind I know that I'm supporting, you know, my local theaters. So
That is our 20 minutes. But I want to ask quickly is this sort of like micro cinema distribution,
yeah.
would you consider like that a form of
Oh,
some sort of branch of streaming?
sorry about that. Well, no. That would, to me, that would be, you know, theatrical, but just, you know, special screening. That would be a screening. I wouldn't consider this streaming, but does that matter how we consider it? I think the idea, right, is that it's being shown,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talked about. And perhaps that's always the beginning of something, right? After then it's somehow on YouTube or on any other platform where you manage to get it distributed. But yeah, you're creating something, an event, a community around what you've produced and put, you know, out there for the world to see. So
Well, thank you very much. I
it's been
this is
fun.
this is something that I really um I think Americans, the non-D movement ought to take
Yeah.
notice. There's a lot to learn here, and the
We
20
should do
minutes.
something. I'd be happy to write a few things about use cases that I've seen in Europe around that, around, you know, indie distribution.
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me have a think about that.
yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you very
I
much.
love it. Thank you so much, Javi. That was amazing. And yeah, let me know when it's ready. I can push it. And yeah, thank you for talking to me.
Absolutely. Thank you.